and that's
What
set
did-
up for editing.
What did that last week do to you? I mean, wow,
To who, Nelly?
Yeah, well, I mean, all of you, I guess, because there was a week delay, right? I mean,
Yeah. None of us were here except for Trevor.
I was here.
Trevor was the
Yeah,
only
yeah.
one.
yes, he was the only one that was here.
Trevor is like our event horizon.
Does that mean we're not allowed to blame him because he was here last week?
Yeah, he gets a
You
pass
can still
this
blame me.
week.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I
That's
can
fine.
blame him.
I'll take
Okay.
it. Twitch, I saw the message that Twitch was down, and that was my scheming. So
Ayo, yokoso, which means welcome if you're new. I'm glad you're here because tonight we are talking about something super special. I mean, you already figured it out by the thumbnail, but we have a super special guest, not RTX Super because that was canceled already, but this is better than any upscaling or frame generation. We have Aish. Hello, Aish.
Hey guys, excited to be on this side of the screen. I've been watching the show a lot and I was really looking forward to hanging out with everyone.
Thanks so much. And of course, I have my expert co-hosts and panelists here with me.
I'm Clef. Sup?
Oh, that was odd. I'm Nelly.
Trevor, case gamer.
I think he forgot to he forgot who he was, or like he emptied his cash
he skipped
before.
a week.
Yeah,
he skipped
that's
a
what-
week and he didn't know how
That's
to
what
do it
happened.
anymore.
Makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense. Yeah, this is what happens when we all get kind of rusty. You know, the pipes were not cleaned properly. Not those kind of pipes. Whatever you're thinking, save that for the after show. Okay, where we get really unhinged. In case you are catching this replay, we are recording this live. You will see an unhinged. That's Handheld's unhinged after show, which you can only catch on Patreon. So make sure that you are here for the live shows. And if you catch the replay, well, thanks for watching. And leave us a comment if you like what you see and how we can improve. Tonight we're talking about this new, rumored, and heavily speculated Lenovo Fold, Legion Go Fold. I'll get one of the names right at some point in time. It's one of those crazy things that Lenovo is always cooking up, it seems like, whether it's CES or MWC. It seems like the Mobile World Congress, I think that's the term, or Computex is the time where Lenovo really cracks out something. Maybe they were huffing the smoke from the Steam Deck vents, but like they got some wild things going on here. Did you all get to take a look at this rumored handheld?
Yeah.
Okay, we got to go around.
Yeah, just a little bit.
We got to go around and share our thoughts. Because of that last week of us being off, we didn't really get a good amount of time to share our sentiments. I'm going to go straight to the dude, Clef. He forgot who he was, and I did for a second too. What's your thought on this? Like, is it good? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it?
One thing that I really appreciated is if we actually take out, it seems that the shape is similar, but the pin is not. So is it going to work? That's the question I have. Is it going to be compatible with the Go 2? That was like my first thought. But putting that aside, one thing I do appreciate and that we have a confirmation of is that we have trigger stops on those controllers. They look kind of weird. Not necessarily uncomfortable, but they look kind of weird. And that doesn't mean it's not going to work. It's just, man, like, Asus took a lot of flack with the Xbox Ally and Xbox Ally X. Like, to me, they kind of feel like a hybrid from an actual controller and VR controller. You know how the grip is like super direct and no curves, and I don't know. It looks weird.
I think
but
Yankee has something like that.
I see what you did. That's an insight for those who know. Even though I wasn't there, I feel like I'm part of the insight. That happened at CES.
I was thinking that as well.
Yeah. But yeah, all in all, I'm excited to see what it is all about. The whole, I talked about the controllers, but the whole folding mechanism and then 11-inch when you have it in landscape sounds pretty exciting. And, if they can get the balance right, the weight right, it could be a very interesting device. We're having OLED that folds. 285V, not necessarily the most exciting chip at this moment, but it can still do a lot. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what this is all about, but I expect a pretty salty high price.
That is a very legitimate concern that we're probably going to touch upon later. But let's go to Nelly. I mean, this is obviously not an Apex, and I know the 258V don't impress you much, but what do you like or not like about this?
Yeah, you're right. You stole all my thunder. I'm like, well, it's not an Apex. That's also what Trevor is thinking too. And Clef.
Yeah.
They get it. They get it. You know what? I thought it was interesting. It basically looks like an Xbox Ally that they just like elongated a little bit more for the control. That's a weird looking picture.
Whoa, are we allowed to show this?
Sensor screen. Where's Clef's sensors?
Redact this quickly. Redact this in post.
It's a weird looking controller, but it's probably comfortable. I mean, it has to be, right? For it to look like that, there's got to be a level of comfort in there. The joystick is very close to the face buttons, so I'm a little concerned about that from like just maneuverability. Even if you're spinning or you've got some thumbstick grips on, that you don't accidentally like tap the buttons. I guess we'll see what that looks like later. But I do like that they're going out there. OneXplayer X1 kind of out there options, and I like that. I like where they're going with it. I like what Clef said of like, if that could fit on a Legion Go or a Legion Go 2, that's also very interesting for the controller options, just to have a different option for comfort or upgradability. It would look pretty weird and it would be hard to put it in some sort of like carrying case to take with you, but I mean, I'd like to think that they would give us a case with this that would fit this properly with the controllers and stuff, because you're not going to find anything to fit those weird things. Those are like Clef said, VR style controllers, and then there's that like screen on it with like CPU boost or whatever. Is that a touchpad too? What is that thing?
It is touch responsive because they swipe on it to change to like meters and CPU performance, temperature. I don't know. I've seen a bunch of things.
It's neat. I like that they're going out there, and I like when people go that extra level of a little bit weird, but just to try things out and push things to the limits, right, Trevor?
Yeah, exactly.
Well said, Nelly, especially about the similarity to the VR controllers. I'm not sure it's a compliment calling it an elongated Xbox Ally X, but I guess we'll have to agree to disagree on that. Before we get someone else to push the limits, especially with their Apex talk, I'd like to get our guests' input on this. Like, how do you feel about this thing here? Because Aish, you and I were talking before about like the Go S, and you were talking about like how you thought that wasn't like a likable or interesting handheld, and I know you have an X1. So like, how do you feel about this?
So I had an X1. I just traded it for a Legion Go Z1 Extreme.
Nice,
which is on the way to me. Right. But this thing makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't like it at all. Like I don't know what they were thinking with it. I don't know who was asking for this, and whoever it was, they shouldn't get to ask anymore because this is weird. Wow. I like that they're trying to push the envelope and do something different. Like everybody else said, that is really cool. I love when companies try to innovate with something, kind of set them apart. But Lenovo has issues with their current handhelds that I feel like they should have probably been paying more attention to, instead of trying to get something else out that's going to be even more niche than what handheld PCs already are. Like we see slow driver rollouts for their handhelds. That's an issue that they have. So maybe focus on what you already have that's somewhat successful, because their current handhelds, their offerings are really good. It feels like they just don't have the support that they should. Instead, we're getting this weird thing that I'm sure somebody's going to buy it and somebody's going to like it, but there's just design choices that I'm not crazy about. Like when it's folded out completely, the controllers being so low just looks weird, and when it's not, it's just more moving parts, which is more failure points. And then they went with Intel, which is another thing. It's like, okay, I get it, it's a good chip, but for gaming, if you want the best compatibility out the door, you kind of want to go AMD anyway. So all around, it's like, I don't understand what the thought process was here. And a 48-hour battery from what I saw a couple times there. Why? You have this massive screen, you have room for a bigger battery. Why are you limited to 48 hours? If that's true, I don't know if that's the actual spec.
That's what I saw too. And you know what? To the driver point that you mentioned, like they don't push out drivers. They don't push out AMD drivers. I think the latest for the Z1 Extreme is in June. So like we're almost rolling on a full year with no driver updates. But then they probably picked Intel because Intel actually updates their drivers on a regular basis, and they don't need to be pushed through Legion Go. So I wonder if that's kind of why they did that.
That's a good point.
All right. Well, you both talked about the drivers and the batteries. I can just leave now, right? Like,
yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
No, I mean it's totally fine.
Excited.
I just mean there's no reason for me to introduce the topic. But you've made some really strong points there, Aish. I think especially about it being kind of like wild and funky, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. We previously talked also about like what Lenovo has made before. If you have just now tuned in you're missing out, because if you join us on Discord, you'll see all the crazy things and the dankest of memes from our friend Zach Handstern, who isn't here with us tonight, but he's here in spirit, and I know that he's channeling it through this crazy foldable thing. So, I mean, when we're looking at these things, right, it's almost impossible to look at them in a vacuum, obviously, right? And when we look at products and they're reviewed, that's the issue, though. They don't exist in a vacuum. All these other products exist. But I'll share the rest of my thoughts on this device. Trevor, what do you think about this? What do you like and don't like?
Well, it's interesting.
Well, now he's being real nice.
Yeah.
That's Canadian for...
That's Canadian for, like, I don't know what the hell this thing is, but... like, there's a few things that, like, are kind of odd with it. The first thing would be that if you have that one picture of the controller, like the front facing, that scroll wheel, like I like that they have scroll wheels on the Legion Go, the Legion Go 2, but this one, like it's right beside the joystick, and it's almost like naturally your thumb is going to bump that when you move over the face buttons. Like it's literally like right there. Like I would imagine like the bottom part of my thumb just like brushing against that, and it just seems like a weird placement. I don't know if this is like a prototype where they just had to put it somewhere, or like, you see what I mean there? Like I could imagine my palm touching that or the bottom of my thumb, and I just don't really get that. The screen is also like, I'd like to see what kind of features they have. Like for me, don't get me wrong, I like my overlays. I like seeing my frame rates and GPU, but like, do I need it on my controller where my palm is covering it? Like we talked about the OneX Fly and the Apex having the RGB on the handles, and it's kind of like, well, you can't really see it when you're using it. It kind of gives me those vibes. Like, I'm not gonna, like, am I gonna look down like, oh my god, I got 60 FPS, look at this, you know, like, I'm not gonna do that. So yeah, it's a strange device. I don't know if I'm a big fan of the fold, like, and it's not the feature itself of being able to fold and expand. It's more, I question the durability of it, and if that's going to be something that we're going to see. You know, we've seen that with the Galaxy Fold. We've seen it with other devices. Like, they eventually just wear down. And I'm not sure that I would trust this giant handheld. Like, one trip to the floor and I can imagine that thing's done, you know, because it's got like a nice weak point in the middle. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm normally pretty positive on handhelds, but this one I'm hoping to be pleasantly surprised when I get to take a look at one. But right now it's a little bit odd.
That's another Canadianism for, like, you know, get out of here. Or...
Yeah, this is like an uncomfortable image, you know, that we're just lingering on. Yeah. It's very uncomfortable.
No, I agree, and I'm lingering.
It wants your love. It's like it's holding out for you.
I'm lingering it on for a reason, because we see this kind of like strange connector in the middle, and you see it at the bottom of the right. Whatever Go Fold Con or whatever this thing is called too, right? And I assume that this is supposed to be for what they teased. This thing also has like an FPS mode similar to the Legion Go
mouse.
And the Go 2. Yeah, it's weird though, obviously, right? Because it doesn't like there aren't those kind of pins at the bottom of like the Legion Go cons or the Go 2 con. The one thing I will say about this first is that this is pretty far along for a concept, and the fact that it has a 258V in there would suggest that this thing has probably been prototyped or like been conceptualized for at least 6 months, I think, right? The interesting thing about it is not only did they like throw everything, including the kitchen sink, into this, which is that little LCD screen thing that Nelly and Trevor were talking about, which I just have to say, like, it doesn't seem like it's useful, but then like you might really want to use it, not for the FPS, when you realize that the thing is overheating, because like the things are just, it's folded in on itself when the screen is flipped back. Right?
Are those holes blocked? Is that what you're saying? There's no holes.
I mean,
they can't breathe.
That would be wild if it is the case.
I mean, I don't think it's that bad, but I actually think that the Intel chip is purposeful, because it's more efficient of a chip. Like Lunar Lake is more efficient, so is Panther Lake, right? Than, you know, the AMD counterparts. They're, you know, even HX370s, they can get toasty, you know. So the fact that this thing, I don't know, you know, again, is folding in on itself suggests to me that maybe there's some compromises that you have to make in terms of ports in terms of heat exhaust. When it's in its full, I guess, I don't know, is final form the right term? I don't know. Like when it's in its final form, like it's probably less of an issue. But when it's folded back in its like compact, if we want to call it compact, because that's still what, a 7.7 inch screen, I think they said. Like when it's in that form, I mean, I'm concerned also about like what access you have to the ports. This is a concept video, so it's hard to say like what we can see there. But like you could see in this photo here, maybe like if you kind of like squint a little bit, like the power button is at the bottom there, right? Or it looks like it. And so like I'm curious about the connectivity, and Aish, you know, as an X1 former X1 owner, and you know everyone here has had hands-on with an X1 or one of the versions of the X1. One of the very common complaints is when the controllers are attached, like it's blocking a port or you have like limited port access. So like the fact that this has rails on all sides, like what actual connectivity does this thing even have would be like my number one concern, right? And then like my other concern with this thing too is, you know, it folds backwards, right? Trevor was talking about, you know, fold phones and stuff like that, and they've gotten a lot better with the durability. You know, I daily drive a Galaxy Fold 7, but the thing is that this thing has the same problem with the OneX Sugar, which is that the screens are front to back, and there's no like added benefit or safety from, you know, being a clamshell and protecting the screens, right? Except, and I say except here is when, again, it's in this kind of unfolded state. In this laptop form, you would assume that that keyboard basically acts as the screen protector. But then that also means now you got to haul around this, what did they say? I think it's 11 point something inch screen. Yep. And now it's not compact anymore. It's almost like with the versatility that you're trying to get out of this, you're paying for it actually in portability, in ports, in battery, as Aish mentioned, in like everything. It almost doesn't even seem like it's worth it, despite like how novel this concept is, which I like this idea. But I'm also thinking like Lenovo has a rollable laptop. Maybe they should have gone with a rollable screen.
Maybe it's not ready. They
You
have
just
it
roll
like
up your handheld.
Yeah, it's just like it extends out. I mean, they're doing it with phones. Why not a handheld, you know?
Dude, you tube your handheld, you plug your XR, and there you go.
No,
Jeez.
For real. But I mean, it's very interesting. It's just that I don't know. I kind of feel like they're doing the like the Acer Nitro Blaze thing, the Zotac Zone thing. Like they're putting this out there and they're trying to gauge the interest.
I'm not getting that impression, to be honest.
Oh, really?
I mean,
okay.
Yeah, I think you know what you said, and I actually dug a fair amount on the Legion Fold because you know it kind of started what I want to say 2 days ago. We were like getting hints, and then all of a sudden the next day you have Tom's guide that has like a full first impression hands-on video on it. Like there's a lot of people out there that have laid hands on this thing. It seems they are way further down than you know what I thought. We went from literally rumor to no.
Oh,
I can put this device in your hand within a day.
Yeah, dude, but they've done the same thing with like the transparent top laptop, and you know that's not what I'm. I know what you're saying.
So
this looks like final production stages. What I meant was like
spend a little bit. I see what you're saying, but
yeah.
Lenovo has dropped up like a lot of news, and I don't know if we're going to talk about some more other things tonight, but they've dropped a lot. One of them being the Y700 5th gen, which they are now putting official North American ad campaign. So I don't think this move is just gouging the interest. I think this is another Hail Mary of theirs. Now, will it be successful? We'll see. But I would be very surprised if we don't see this device actually hit the market. I want to say within probably 4 to 6 months, realistically.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so looking at this though, and just to kind of like walk down history lane, before we do this walk down history lane though, I have to say, I know Nelly shares this concern about heat dissipation as much as I do, maybe even more than I do. And, you know, again, this is possibly why they went with an Intel chip. But in case you've missed any of the memes, particularly on Discord, I know we usually save this for the Handhelds Unhinged after show, but I figured, you know, we could do this, and let me show you all something incredible that only an old school desktop Xeon PC could do. Maybe now, actually, you know, that I think about it, Strixalo 395, it could probably do this too. Actually, most likely it could do this. So if you missed this, I know my friends have seen this before. You know what this is? Yeah. So this is
I've
cooking
seen
a
it.
steak on a CPU. Yes, I love this channel. Unfortunately, it doesn't make any of this anymore. This is called, CPU de yakiniku shite mita. That means I tried making grilled meat on a CPU. What do you think? If you push the APUs to a limit, it could probably do this, right?
So you're saying Legion Fold, close it, and cook your food. I see.
Maybe the guy does.
panini.
Yeah, the guy does also have a burger. You can cook a burger on dual Xeon CPUs, and he makes
So
like a whole mini burger out of it.
That's
But,
going to be the George Foreman of handhelds.
Yeah.
Windeck
this is-
Tech
That's what we all
tried this
need.
once.
He did. After we talked about it, yeah, we talked about it, and it was a failure because he didn't push it to the limit. That was why it was a failure.
I remember you get a pretty good sear on that video, if I'm not mistaken.
You do. You're not kidding. You're not kidding. Yeah, like it's honestly impressive. I mean, this got 3.7 million views for a reason. This is no joke. This is serious. This is serious CPU stakes.
When you look at the airflow, even it looks like it's going to your lap when it's folded, right? Because it's like it can't be going to the control. It's got to be going down. Just getting hot air, just blowing down.
It's interesting. I think there's a lot of like logistical and mechanical issues with this. And to be clear, and this is the walk down history lane that I was talking about, we've talked about this kind of foldable concept before. So it's not just some meme that Lenovo made up, just to be clear. Like we talked about this one, if you all remember, we talked about this thing, which Samsung, like I guess, showed off more than a year ago. This little thing here, where it like folds in on itself.
Their phones, like I've tried to fix their phones before, and people are like, "Can you try to fix this?" I'm like, "No, I'm not even touching that," because they just like come out of the hinge part, and then you can't really like get it back in. It's like messed up. I don't even like dabbling from like a repairability side with foldable screens.
No, it's fair. It's very, very easy to mess up, and I'm sure that's on purpose. Right. That's it.
The whole foldable super quick. Something Aish said earlier that had me think the 48 watt hour battery, which I didn't think was this small, but a concern that I do have because it is indeed like a huge screen estate. So logically speaking, either they have two cells, but if they don't, then that also means a potential weight shift. Like it kind of raised an alarm that I have now that I'm thinking, how well is this going to hold? Because if it doesn't have batteries on both sides that folds, then whether you are landscape or portrait, it's not going to hold nice.
We fold the battery too. It's also foldable.
You're absolutely right, Clef. And when you have it folded out in that like laptop form, it would be like lopsided to hold, right?
Yeah.
Or, So
you also have the controllers towards the bottom when it's in like the unfolded form, which is a horrible position for controllers for big handhelds. As Clef might know, you bought the TJD thing, right?
Yeah, TJD.
Yeah. He prefers.
That's all I'm thinking about when I'm seeing this thing. It's just I don't know what they were thinking.
Fair. To give you an extension from that hot air that's coming your way.
They made a mistake of not. They made a mistake of not releasing that Iron Pikachu colorway. That was the problem. They probably got a call from. Yeah. You know which one I'm talking about? I'll have to like pull it up on Unhinged. But there's an Iron Pikachu version.
You had that one.
Yeah, I had it.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was surprisingly comfortable. It was. And super quick, so you mentioned earlier, Trevor, with the controller. If you look at the way, because they're super offset, like the sticks and the buttons are probably more offset than anything else I've ever seen. So I really don't think your thumb is actually going to brush on the little trackpad. It just looks weird. That's the thing. Like, I just look at it and I'm thinking, man, it doesn't look weird. But it doesn't look normal because we've never seen anything like this. But if you think from an ergonomic point of view, the way that your thumb is going to navigate it, genuinely, I think it's going to be comfortable. I don't think your thumb is going to touch the trackpad or the scrolling wheel. I mean, I don't think the sticks and buttons are going to be an issue because you're going up from going down. Anyways, you know what? I'm not going to get into because I could go deep. Let's not go too deep.
I just imagine like some nerdy dude in like a Lenovo basement just throwing stuff together. Like, this is never going to get approved. And here we are.
Possibly. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Did you see that whip in the commercial? They're like, and they just like, released the whip. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. They're. I don't know if they're trying to go with that whole Lenovo like cowboy theme thing that they did.
I feel like it. They probably have a whoosh in the video, but
they did with
can
the
you
go-to.
imagine? Can you imagine like doing that with your handheld though? Like how? I don't know. What are the odds that you do that and it like smacks you in the face and then you drop this like $2,000 handheld or
just
whatever?
like snaps the
2000?
hinge.
I think you're being generous with that 2,000.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, maybe
price
you
point?
might be right about
Yeah.
that. Aish.
I think
you
you're
might be
right. I think
so. Before
2000
we speculate completely on the price, since we're on this topic of foldables too, I wanted to share one more foldable that we're talking about, and the whole idea about this walk down history and memory lane is essentially to ask you guys whether you think the world is ready for a foldable handheld, or if we even need a foldable handheld, right? This article comes from our friends over at Retro Handhelds. This is about the OneX, OneX Sugar wallet. So if you are purely x86 or handheld PC handheld people like Nelly and Trevor, this probably completely flew under the radar, or you thought this was just a phone with like a skin on it or something. So, but this is actually supposed to be a handheld that, folds in on itself and has a folding screen. I don't know what, I'm sure Aish and Clef have more thoughts on this.
Who's funding this? That's what I really want to know. OneX Sugar makes the weirdest things. Their last handheld was puzzling. This one's the same thing. Like I understand they want to innovate. All the handhelds nowadays kind of look the same. It's just, a candy bar with the screen and controllers. You want to do something different, but it's just failure points. Like, who wants this? I don't get it.
Because I was confused when, Monto showed me all his handhelds. I was like, are those the same handheld? Are they?
Oh no,
No,
This one
that's
does look
actually
different.
that's actually been a thing with like retro handhelds. They've all been kind of going towards the same overall design, which is just like a Retroid Pocket or Odin 2. It kind of makes sense because it is kind of like the best general layout for a handheld, but this thing's just, I don't know, it's weird. It's not something that I would ever consider picking up myself. Maybe I'll play with it for a little bit, but
to be completely fair to what you're saying, Aish, and also Nelly's sentiment about them looking the same, this is kind of what we're seeing in the PC handheld space too, though. You know what I mean? Like everything is a 7-8-inch handheld, and they're all kind of trying to copy each other. And despite the Xbox Ally X and Xbox Ally not looking the prettiest, like I do have to commend them for going out of the box and doing these like big ugly but ergonomic like controls, right? Because everybody else is just doing this candy bar style handheld, right? So
Tech Dude actually made a great video on this. I don't know if you guys follow him, but he basically said everything's a crab. Like, how evolution wants everything to turn into a crab, and handhelds is the same thing. You're going to turn into the same general layout, unless you have the beautiful Odin Thor, Awayan Thor, which is my favorite thing right now. But back to this thing. I don't like it. That's kind of where I'm at.
Your face when he brought that picture up was like,
No, it's just I like innovation, but I like innovation that makes sense. Like if you're going to push the envelope, try to do something that's really going to change the general landscape of handhelds, I respect that. I'm all for that. But when you're just kind of throwing darts at the wall, being like, we're going to make something different, that's just going to be a super niche product, it's a lot less exciting for me.
I will preface by saying that, I'm one of those that does have a OneX Sugar, and I think it's an awesome device for many reasons. However, there's something I'm realizing with OneX Sugar, and I'm going to draw a parallel to something no one can expect that is currently watching us right now, which is Marathon. If you played the server test right now, it's that one game that it's like, oh, it's so edgy. But why? Why is it so edgy? Just for the sake of being edgy? And when I look at this OneX Sugar wallet, and if you can go to like really the front where it's all front, yes. I'm seeing the same issues that we have with the OneX Sugar. Why are we not having symmetrical sticks? Why are we not having symmetrical speakers? Because you're trying to be edgy. And I'm not saying that it is a problem, but there's a line to be drawn when you're already having a concept like that, which I think could have a lot of merits. Better for retro gaming for sure with that, form factor and that aspect ratio. But just make symmetrical sticks. just make symmetrical speakers, because this is where you push that edge too far and it starts to look like it's not serious. And man, I hate it, because this is a device that is extremely capable and people mocked it for that exact reason, because it took things just a little too far. If they had learned to know where to draw the line and still put something that is innovative, I'm sure a lot of people would have embraced it for what it was. The OneX Sugar wallet is, I'm not saying I know everything about this device, but I'm seeing the same tropes that I have with the OneX Sugar, and I wish that they could just, let the crazy one run wild a little bit, but know when it's too much as well. And I feel like they don't.
Well, here's the thing, though. What you're saying with the OneX Sugar, would you rather have the Sugar or the Thor?
Obviously, the Thor. The Thor is
That's
a better
my thing.
device.
Innovation when it makes sense. Like, yeah, they did the dual screen setup and you can flip it around. But at the end of the day, this does the exact same thing, and it's a much more comfortable device. With what you were saying about this thing, sure, the aspect ratio could be better for retro games if you want to play 4:3 content, but the D-pad's in the wrong position for that. And if you're playing anything that's 16:9, you might as well just have a single screen at the bottom, because you're not going to be able to take advantage of the screen anyway. So it's not really a device that lends itself to be great at anything. It's just different for the sake of being different. And it might have a powerful chip. Like they did the same thing with the last one. There might be a lot of power there, but just like you said, the layout isn't ideal. It's not going to be great for any one system unless you just want to play GameCube on it. But if you want to do that, there's other better options anyway.
I think that's a great way to put it. I think it could have its merits, but I feel like it's going to be the OA when it drops, and for very similar reasons as the OneX Sugar. And
You're not buying one, Clive?
I don't know. We don't know the full specs. We don't know the price. I mean,
that's a yes.
It's too early to tell. Not necessarily. See, the thing is, and dude, you asked me a question, which, yes, indeed, the Thor is a better device, but it's not that this couldn't have been. Like, you'd be surprised, especially with the case that I have on, how comfortable it is to use. And that's kind of what I'm trying to imply, is if they could just focus a little more on, okay, sure, go for the crazy. It's like INEO. They're all designed to the point of having like points of failure, having stupid decisions just because the design looks good. You know, I'm thinking Apple with, it's the way you hold your phone, that's the problem. You know, like, this is the kind of thing I've seen with the OneX Sugar, and this is the kind of thing I'm seeing with the OneX Sugar wallet, is some of those decisions are just so lean into what seems to be that, oh, we want to be different, that you're losing what makes it fun to play on. And yeah, it's that balance that I wish they could just understand that, yeah, it's going too far. I don't think so, but we'll see.
That means yes. So in the context of what we all just heard, I mean, first I want to ask Trevor and Nelly if you have any thoughts about that Sugar wallet, or just move on, just throw it in the trash, move on.
Yeah, I mean, it's
This
interesting.
is the nice Canadian of like, no, throw it in the trash and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know, I do like when they innovate. Like, if I'm going back to the Legion, the whatever we're calling it, the Fold, or whatever they're planning to call it, I do like when it's something that's unique. But kind of what Aish was saying, I'm not sure this is it. You know, yeah, it doesn't feel like it hits anything for me that like I would want it to. It's got like, you don't have that second screen like we're talking about if you're looking for like 3DS emulation. The screen itself is a weird aspect ratio, so you're going to get black bars for a lot of games. I see in the comments like a few people saying it kind of reminds them of their toothbrush case, and that was actually what I thought. I'm like, this is an Oral-B edition, you know? So
it does look like it.
And you know, I don't like to judge things too much till I've gone hands-on. So like, maybe it's super comfortable, maybe there's some features with it that we just don't know about yet, so I'm going to leave that door open, but my first impression is it's a little odd.
Wow, you're nice.
Yeah,
I'm
that's the Canadian. That's the Canadian. That's the Canadian. So Nelly, what about you? Do you already have a Philips Sonicare at home? Like,
yeah, and you know what? Wouldn't that be something if you could brush your teeth with this thing?
yes,
There's a little screen there at the bottom corner that tells you.
Yeah,
It's either a smiley face or a frown, depending on how you did.
Yeah, it's an automatic frown when it's overheating.
Yeah, this is too much for me. I mean, but I have no interest in the Androids, and you know that. But I mean, looking at this thing, I'm like,
even less interested.
This is like what Aish look like.
Yeah,
no.
there's a reason why Apple hasn't made something like this. That's what you're saying.
Yeah,
I see it in your face. Yeah. I got you. So I mean, I want to tie this all. I want to tie this all back to this what we were talking about with the Legion Go Fold, right? And using these examples with the the OneX Sugar wallet, that Samsung concept phone, handheld type thing. Some really great points made by Aish and Clef about this not being it. Them innovating for the sake of innovating. What Clef said about them taking it too far. Like, is this what that is with the Go Fold? Like, they went a little too far. And I'm saying this in the context of, like, not just what I mentioned earlier, it folding backwards, but remember that because this is a Windows handheld, Windows also doesn't really like two screens a whole lot sometimes, and we don't know. I'm assuming that the big unfolded version is a big landscape screen, right? But like, how is Windows handling this? And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because I previously had a Lenovo Yoga Book. That's the one with the dual OLED screens. And Windows fights with the Lenovo software on that all the time. So when the Lenovo software is working, you can rotate it and it'll look like, like an open book type thing. And then when it's, any which other way that you rotate it, the telemetry and the gyro will tell it, which way to orient itself. But every so often, especially if you let Windows go to sleep, and I know you all know how bad that is, wakes up, things start breaking, like the resolution starts changing on one of the screens and stuff like that. I almost have a feeling that this is probably going to happen on this fold thing. And maybe that's why that's partly also a concept. Can you imagine you have the screen folded back and it's like, yeah, now you're seeing a 90-degree rotated half of your Cyberpunk game. You're like, I only see like the FPS counter. Like, what am I doing here? Oh, that's right. That's what Trevor said this little like circle in the bottom was for. Like it's probably a really jank experience. And part of me thinks that maybe, even though it would be to Nelly's dismay, this thing actually should have been like an Android foldable tablet. You know what I mean? Maybe that would have made more sense. But like, I don't know. Am I crazy here, or is it just Lenovo that's making these crazy things? And how much do you think this thing is actually going to cost if it comes to market? What do you think?
Keyboard, the keyboard you can't use though. Like with an Android device, like what would be the purpose to that?
Productivity.
You can do a lot of things on Android.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah.
I
Productivity. Yeah. She's like, I have an Apex. I have a Z13. Like, if you're broke, just say so.
Yeah. When I'm looking at a new handheld, I'm not looking to see like, when I see this fold, I'm like, oh my God, this is it. Like, that's not what I'm looking at. I'm like looking for, is this thing going to hit a better performance metric? Is this going to have better battery life? Is this going to be more comfortable? Like, is the screen going to be nice? And not folding nice, but color nice, and refresh rate. Like, those are the things I'm looking for. And if they would focus the resources into that and the cost, I would rather pay for, if I'm paying, let's say, we pretended that it was $2,000. If I'm paying $2,000, I'm going to take that battery life, I'm going to take that nice refresh rate and the nice screen and the better ergonomics every single time over something like a fold.
So the
And
Apex.
I'm not, yeah, well, I mean, I wasn't going to go there, but
that's what you were thinking. Is what I was thinking.
yeah.
All roads lead to the Apex.
Yeah. Anyway, TED Talk done.
Yeah, I think this was actually something that was meant for their like business line, productivity line, and somehow ended up with their gaming division. Because if you remove the controllers, everything about this says productivity. You have that foldable screen, you have the keyboard, you have a nice landscape layout, you have a smaller battery, you don't have great cooling from what we're able to see. Everything just says, hey, this is for somebody that's trying to do a bunch of Word documents, maybe some editing, all that. Maybe it didn't work out there, and they're just going to throw some controllers on it and make this into a handheld. I feel like if you separate in that way, it makes a lot more sense. Because if I'm somebody that just wants, a cool laptop or tablet experience, I'm okay with a smaller battery because I'm not really going to be pushing it that crazy unless I'm on a desk. I'm going to fold it unconnected. I have the feeling that that's what they were going for, and then they just stick some controllers on it and let's make this into a gaming handheld, which it doesn't look like it's going to be a great one. If I hope I'm getting ahead of myself and that it is a lot cooler than what I think, but it's just hard to get excited for it.
It seems clearly that I'm the only one on this panel. Hello. So let's talk, you and I, the viewer, that has a little bit of excitement for this thing. A little bit. I don't agree. And the reason being that I've spent many years using this, a folding phone. When we compare this to the OneX Sugar wallet, it is a screen that folds on its own. It's not the same. Now, I understand that this may make a handheld element not as comfortable or not as pleasant for the whole handheld experience. You could raise the argument that it's the same thing with the X1. You could raise the argument that it's the same with the G1, that it's the same with the Fold. Not for the same reasons, but nonetheless, the handheld experience, it's kind of pushed aside in favor of having a balance that is different. And if you keep that in mind, when you fold the Legion Fold, sure, it may not be the best handheld, but then you can still unfold it and have a giant freaking handheld.
You have to whip it like that.
I don't know that I would do that. That looks like something I don't want to do personally. But I guess, if we just slowly open it and then slap it on the landscape, I think people who are looking for this, and granted, I'm not trying to imply that this is the device that everyone will want. Most likely not. This is going to be niche. But I do believe between a Legion Fold and an Absolute 3D handheld. Sorry, I love the guys at Absolute. I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus. But to me, it's very obvious which makes the most sense as to who would have the potential to find a bigger niche. And that is easily the Legion Fold. Because it can ultimately give you that one device that you pay a little more for, but is so much better at so many things. Even though we may not see this as the solution, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be like, yo, I can make that into like a hybrid laptop. I can make that into a hybrid handheld. I can make that into a hybrid dual screen DS 3DS. I can make that into a hybrid huge freaking tablet with a controller set to go. The potential is pretty big. And just to close that loop, I've been enjoying the Go 2 so much. I owe an apology to Lenovo. But at the same time, it's kind of reminding me just how versatile this thing is compared to every other handheld PC on the market. So you know what? If Lenovo wants to lean on that, the flexibility that their flagship handheld PC currently has over everybody else, and push it even further, I think there's some grounds to potentially have something spectacular there. Not for everybody, but spectacular nonetheless. That's my take.
As usual, he has to come in with some hot and spicy takes, but also, to be clear, even though I usually, defer to Clef to do that, I am interested in this device too. I actually follow all of Lenovo's products, because not only am I the resident, Lenovo shill on, in HU, but I mean, it's more so about the concerns. And just to tell you how much of, their stuff that I watch, you're talking about the flexibility, Clef. I don't know how many of you saw this. And before you at home look at this and say, wait a minute, this is just a ZenBook Duo. This is a Zephyrus Duo. This is a yoga book, Yoga Book 9i. It's not, because this has a removable screen that you can swap with the keyboard. So that thing becomes, a portable monitor essentially. And they even show it like sticking on the back of this display, which, it makes sense as to why they're calling this the modular AI PC. I mean, yes, despite my reputation on our Discord server, which again, you have to join in order to talk to all these lovely people, including Aish, who is on our server too. Despite my reputation as being an AI, I hate that naming. But I get it. It's the two letters that sell. If you look at this thing, I almost feel like we would have been better off with something like this for like the Legion Go Fold in a smaller form factor. Like two screens that fold on itself. Now, to be clear, I get it when it's completely unfolded, you have that big, bezel in the middle. But I kind of feel like for durability reasons that Trevor was talking about, compatibility and all that other kind of stuff. How cool would that be if you had this like detachable portable monitor? Think of like the Retroid dual screen, but like not garbage, like that. Or I'm sorry, maybe that wasn't nice. Not garbage implementation. Yeah, maybe not garbage implementation. How about that? That's really cool, right? And there's also they also have like other kind of wild stuff here. If you look at like some of their other innovations, this one down here, which where was it? This is has been mentioned also on our Discord before. This is an X13 detachable. So not to be confused with Asus's former X13, or they also have a ProArt PX13. This thing is supposed to be, as you can see, it's ThinkPad, so it's part of their business lineup. But this thing here is going to have a Panther Lake chip in this. So theoretically speaking, for us gamers out there, this thing should be able to compete at, the kind of 20 to 25, 20 to 30 watt level with something like a Z13. Now, it's going to be really expensive. There's no hiding that. But it's interesting, And to be fair to Lenovo, yeah, they are trying a bunch of different things, or they're looking at a bunch of different things.
So, if anything, I think with what we know so far with the Legion Fold, that is the biggest mistake that they're making, is not putting Panther Lake. Because at the very least, we would have, that chip to get excited by. And the one thing that kind of raises a red flag for me is clearly you're doing something that no one else is doing, which is to be applauded, at least in some capacity. But you're asking people to be guinea pigs without even having the latest chip. That to me is a problem. At the very least, it should have had Panther Lake, but maybe there's reasons why. To the point, maybe there's not enough speed holes or whatever.
This is what makes me think that this was a productivity device first, because this makes sense in their other line where they have all kinds of different products, different performance levels and everything. And if you look at the 258V, that's an amazing productivity chip. Even if you want to do video editing and all that, you can do it with that one. The rest of it just doesn't say gaming for me at all.
That's a great point.
That was also one of the things I was thinking that, they were, even though this might be final production stages, that they were looking to gauge interest and determine whether or not they actually wanted to put, real manpower behind it and put a Panther Lake chip, put all their production factories or whatever in place to get this thing out there. Right. And for all we know, they actually have more foldable screens than they do the 8.8 inch OLED screen that's in the Go 2, right? Which we've speculated before is the big reason why they don't have supply of that product, right? Not that there isn't enough C2E chips or whatever other components. But, we've been dancing around that whole thing. If this thing does come to market, do you have a price prediction? Anyone?
At least $3,000.
Oh, I think that's actually, that would be wild to think of last year, right? Or definitely 2 years ago. But I don't think you're off at all with that.
No, but the price of everything and like you guys said, the versatility that they're most likely going to be leaning on, they're going to push this thing for, my guess is at least $3,000. US.
I'm surprised. I feel like I'm usually the one. Aish, you need to be on more often because you're going to make me sound reasonable right now. I'm going to go 2,500. I feel like this is achievable in the current landscape. You think a go-to is what, 1,850 at B&H? So that's, an overcharge, if we want to look at it this way, not the same hardware at all, but I'm thinking 700 on top of that, so that covers a bigger screen, the hinge. I'm thinking 2,500 in my opinion would be a price that they could hit. Still would be too expensive in my opinion for what it is, even though it's potentially cool, but I think they can achieve that.
Okay. You could just say the line, Nelly, if you want.
If you're broke, just say so.
Oh, well, I mean, there's that, yes.
Which one?
I mean, your other line. Your other line.
Oh, well, but the holes aren't big enough?
Wow, you have a lot of lines.
There's a lot.
We definitely need to get this on merchandise. Mm-hmm. I mean, if anyone else agrees, make sure you're hitting the buttons down below to make sure that we, put some effort
just buy an Apex.
There it is. There it is. Yes. So we have 3 different T-shirt concepts for Nelly. Please vote if which one of those you would rather have, or maybe Get them all if you're not broke. In the context of that, you think of the same thing, Trevor?
Yeah, probably about 3K. I'm with Aish on this one. I can't remember what the price was for the Duo, like the Zephyrus Duo. I'd imagine probably be somewhere in that ballpark.
I don't think it's going to be that much, honestly. And I say that because we don't know how much memory is in there either, but it has that smaller battery. They're probably using one of the Legion Go batteries or Legion Go S batteries at that size. If it's the comparable size, I think it's close. But I think that they're using probably some parts from the other Legion Go's that are just residual to piece this together. And then they're releasing the same chip as the MSI Claw, which is comparable to the Z2 Extreme, which is what their current market is right now. So maybe they're just trying to, distract people a little bit because there's not enough stock of the Z2 Extreme. But I don't think that they can charge that much for it, because at 3K, you can get a 395 Z13. Like, why would you even entertain this at that price point? I feel like that would be dead on arrival. So I'd say like 2K max is what I would put on this. And that's just slightly higher than the Legion Go 2 to kind of pitch that for the, just a different features on there. And we talked about this for the chips and stuff too, Clef, before. Like, if you're going to give me the same chip, give me some innovation. Give me something different. And this is them giving you something different for that same chip, but just get an Apex.
That's the
just
innovation.
To clarify,
You flip it.
You flip it. You whip it. Flip it.
The price prediction.
Are
we talking about the laptop?
Bop it.
Or the handheld?
Swipe that screen. This is a full all-in-one game.
Is there rub it at the end?
You can.
No, that's what the mouse wheel is for.
It's a fidget toy in a handheld.
Yeah. Before we kind of wrap up this conversation about this particular product, I did want to add that, one thing that we didn't consider is there's a possibility, Clef mentioned the Legion Y700 Gen 5, which we're not really spending that much time talking about, maybe in the after show. But, it's possible that this thing might actually even see a limited release in China. Right? Like that's something to consider too. Lenovo is a huge, the Go Fold. It's a huge company. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a possibility that they just like test the market essentially and see what, profits they can be made from it or what the market will bear. Or maybe they just have a limited release like, the previous Legion, Y700 and do nothing with it. Right? This is a possibility.
You know why I don't think they would do that?
Why is that?
There's just too wide a disconnect to understand if that device has some market viability by just releasing in China. To your point, though, I don't think this is a international release. I wouldn't be surprised if it is like select country first. UK, US, Australia, Canada, China, Japan. I could see that happen, but I'd be very surprised if they release only in China. Like, how do you know if people want this?
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. And you know what else is true? Because we have our special guest, Aish, here tonight, we're going to talk to him just a little bit. What are you working on, my friend?
3 different videos. Trying to figure out which one I'm going to put out first. I had to miss my videos last week because I was just really busy. So I'm trying to see if I can squeeze out 2. One is on a very not exciting handheld, the R36S. That's basically e-waste, but it kind of, the whole reason I want to cover it is because it changed what e-waste is for most people. Like, it basically made people go from having to buy a cheap Famiclone to be able to get a somewhat decent retro gaming for like $30. So to me, I think that's actually worth talking about, because I know you guys do mostly handle PCs, but before that, if you wanted to play any retro games, you had some very, very bad choices at $30, $40. And this one actually came in and did some good things. That and just talking about modern gaming in general, how I don't think it's as bad as people say it is.
But by people, do you mean Nelly or is it someone
It's
else?
pretty great on the Apex.
No, just in general, there seems to be like a lot of, especially in the retro community, there seems to be like a lot of hate towards modern gaming. How it's basically ruining it for everybody, which I think it's not. I also kind of bring in a little bit about streaming, how I think more streaming is a good thing for a lot of people, because not everybody can afford a full-on gaming system or an expensive handheld to be able to play games at an acceptable level. So for a lot of people that are in that situation, streaming can be a really, really good thing. Even though I know for us that we like to own hardware, it might seem like they're just trying to take stuff away from us. So I'm working on those two video ideas, trying to see which one's going to make it out first.
That's legit. And we did talk about streaming previously on the Speedcast with Monto, and Nelly just made fun of him playing on his 2DS.
Okay, that was crazy though. Like I don't don't stream to a 2DS. Like use your phone. If you're at that point, use your phone.
He's like, this is bad. And I was like, yeah, I bet that's bad.
Before we transition to our last little wrap up of the Legion Go and its future, I do want to ask Aish a question. And this is something that I want to start asking all of our guests. So if you have a kind of crazy question that you want to ask our guests too, leave us a comment down below. Hop on Discord. Ping me with all the DMs. Maybe that's a bad idea saying this out loud in public, but you know what? Yeah, ping me with all the DMs of the questions you want us to ask our guests. I got one for Aish though, and that is, if you could travel back in time to play one game on its release day, what game would that be?
I think I have to say The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess.
Ooh. That's a really good pick, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
It kind of, because when we first saw, if you guys remember the first trailer for, when we were getting the GameCube, we saw this super realistic Zelda game for that time, and then we got Wind Waker, which is one of my all-time favorite games. Like, it's one of the few that I actually won and like got the physical for it and everything. Wind Waker didn't really hit the same notes that Twilight Princess did for me, and that game was just, I was hyped for that one. I went out and I got a Wii just for that game. I was ready for it, but I couldn't get it at release. I had to wait a little bit longer. So if I could go back and play one game when it first came out, it'd be that, because I'm a huge Zelda fan.
That's a great pick. I think I had the exact same sentiment that you had playing Wind Waker, but like not getting that like real sense of realism, which Twilight Princess like really hit a home run with, right?
It's just the scale of it. It was just a much more epic game. And then that final battle, just everything about that game, it had that darker feel for a Zelda game. It did so much right.
That's a fantastic pick that you made there. And going forward, we're gonna have to ask you to ask our next guest a question too. But that'll be off the air, and you'll have to tune into the next Speedcast to see that one. Let's take a moment now and let's talk about the future of the Legion Go lineup, and pulling it back to previous episodes that we talked about Legion Go. Clef very much dooming and glooming about the potential death of this lineup. We got this story because it was talked about last week by Trevor and our other hosts here on Speedcast about the Legion Go actually getting some driver support. So did you all catch wind of this story?
I have some thoughts, but I want to see where you're going.
Yeah, so we got this story now where Lenovo has apparently allegedly made a statement and said that they're going to continue supporting the Z1 Extreme device because there was a lot of speculation about the Z1E devices not being supported anymore. Apparently it came from like a support chat, and the story goes on and on, but now we have apparently an official statement from Lenovo. So what do you all think of this news? Is this good? Is this bad? Is this nothing burger? What is this?
Having support go up to, what was it, 2029 that they said in the article? I mean, that's great. I mean, the longevity for these devices, as long as they can do that, I think that would be awesome, especially with the way the prices are going for devices like that. The used market's looking very appealing right now, and it's if we were going to have the driver support end, it's a little bit harder to recommend getting something that has a shelf life. But with this news, as long as they honor that, like, I think that's great. The Z1 Extreme, like, it's a decent chip. It's obviously going to start to show its age as we go along, but I mean, so is the Steam Deck, and people still love it. So yeah, I think it's great news.
I like how you were, walking that fine line with a Steam Deck gang there. We're very well played, sir. Very well played. Yep. You could, guys, if you're out there, maybe you're tuning in from Nerd Nest podcast. We love you. You can put the pitchforks down now. Aish, did you have some follow-up thoughts on that?
To me, the Z1 Extreme, like I hold it at the same, I don't know how to put this one, like, I feel like it did to handheld PCs what the 8 Gen 2 did for Android handhelds, in the sense that it was kind of that next step where pretty much everything was playable. Seeing that it's going to get support for a long time, I saw some people that want to run Windows on it. It wasn't really a huge deal to me because I pretty much just stick with SteamOS or Bazite with my handheld PCs, so I was going to get some type of support regardless. But I know for a lot of people, it does matter to stay on Windows, so seeing that is pretty cool. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me that they were going to end support that soon, but it's good to see that they're saying like, hey, we're sticking with this.
Yeah. Great thoughts. How about you, Clef? What do you think about this?
Do you want to go to the end? I could feel that you're spicy, but you want me to tee you up for more spice?
I mean, sure, it doesn't matter. I guess I'll go if you call my name.
You go.
How can I put this? I'll believe it when I see it, Lenovo. Not before. I will believe it when there is patches when there's less than 6 months between drivers updates. Okay, you alluded to a panel member getting the info on that, and you were talking about handheld hardware, and I want to salute Chris for getting the information from Lenovo. However, I could look at you straight in the eye and as a proud Canadian tell you that I believe a Zamboni should continue to make the ice be smoother. Am I going to do the work? No. Like, this is essentially, until proven different, this is what Lenovo is doing right now. They don't even need to put out a statement. They're not putting out drivers. So, as far as I'm concerned...
No one's driving that Zamboni, right?
Hold up, guys. There's a lot of non-Canadian audience. You might have to define what a Zamboni is.
Let him cook. It's
I want to give praise to Lenovo. I owe them an apology with the go-to because they really listened to everything from the hardware perspective. But isn't it wild that there is still, up to this point, on the go-to, not like there hasn't been new drivers in like over 3 months. This is a brand new device. What are you supporting here? This is just, as far as I'm concerned, this is an empty statement. Now, they're not the first company to give out empty statements, INEO. But all that to say, do I like to see it? Do I want to hop in that glaze Ben party? Sure, but I'm not that guy. I'm going to need proof. You need to bring something to the table because right now you're just saying, oh, set the table. I'm coming. So far, you haven't been there in the last 6 months. Are you really a friend? I don't think you are. That's my point.
That's how they're going to do it, is you're not getting new updates. You're getting all the old ones you never got all the way up to 2029.
Ooh, that's a... Wow. Someone get the burn cream on that. We might need some bandages too. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Nelly?
3 years is not a long time. It feels like when you say 2029, that's a long time. That's 3 years. In 3 years, you have no more driver support for your device or BIOS support or whatever. So all the new games that are coming out that require a newer driver, because some of them give you that little notification saying your driver's not new enough, you can't do anything about it. There's nothing you can do. And from like a compatibility from an eGPU standpoint, sometimes when you have dates that are fluctuating too much from like what your device's date is for the Z1 Extreme or Z2 Extreme versus what the eGPU's driver date is, like for AMD anyways, because NVIDIA's probably fine. But for the AMD support side, if it's too far, there's issues oftentimes. And so even like I have eGPU conversations all the time in my channel about, hey, my thing's not working correctly. I'm like, go back to a previous driver that's closer in the date and then see if it works better then. And usually it's, yes, it works better then. But then I'm like, what's your driver date? Because that's the first question. What's your driver dates? And they always come back with the driver dates. And I'm like, man, there's still no driver updates. Like we're almost a year from the last time you had a driver update. This is like unacceptable. In my opinion, this is unacceptable for support for these devices that are mainstream devices. And then even from like an unacceptable standpoint, Asus is still better than Lenovo for this stuff. And sometimes you have to use their driver to fix the Legion Go driver because like Lenovo hasn't maybe paid to get that out yet for this. So like what are you guys doing? Fold up your money and put it to the side and then get us some driver support. Instead, you're like, oh, let's whip this Intel device out because, we don't need to support anything on this. This is great. We'll just whip that out. Yeah, exactly. And we don't need to do any driver support. So now we don't have to worry about that anymore. And after 2029, we don't have to worry about anything about the Z2 Extreme devices and the Legion Go. But you know what? Maybe we'll just add 2 more years to that. And people will be happy with 2032 will stop supporting the Z2 Extreme devices.
Wow, I thought you were going to let Clef do all the spicy talking. I mean,
I let him tee me up instead. You see, that was reverse psychology stuff.
It was, yeah, that was some Uno reverse that you played there. You were talking about, like, you know, fold up the money. I mean, like, are they going to use that Go Fold and then put the money in there, like, as a money
pay
wallet?
them. They're going to pay them with
that's
that.
The wallet.
That's the
wallet. But then, that's the OneX Sugar wallet, right? But then when you open it, all your money flies out, like George Costanza and all the receipts, right?
Yeah.
But, like, you know, it's fair. I mean, and to put into context what you're saying, Nelly, about like 3 years not being a long period of time, like if we think about it, like Steam Deck is 4 years old now, right? And you know what, Switch 1 is coming up on like 10 years or something like that. Like, can you imagine if after like 2 or 3 years, like let's say next year or the year after, like Nintendo was like, oh, we're not updating the Switch 2 anymore. Like, people would not be having that. It's very much a fair point that you're making in that context. And yeah, it's unfortunate. I did see like some other article, or I think there was like Reddit post that I read, and it was saying something like, well, it's a good thing that you know, you have the like you had the Rad V drivers over on you know, like the Linux side, and you can get those updated, and so it'll be supported there. But it's like, I don't know, I feel like that's some kind of mental gymnastics that's going on there, because yeah, then you're using the device, loading up SteamOS on it or whatever for its unintended use case, right? And that's like, you know, when it doesn't break, like, or I mean, when it does break, and then you say you blame the person or whatever, and you say, oh, well, you know, it wasn't supposed to work like that. Like, that's not an experience that anyone should have to deal with. And we've said, and I know everyone in HU would agree, you know, none of us and nobody, no company, no influencer, content creator, whatever name you want to use, should be recommending devices based on promises that are not delivered. Right. So, you know, it's unfortunate. And I do think that Clef is right. You know, we have to wait and see. But at the same time, it's like, given the history and given what you said about those ARC drivers, it kind of makes sense why they would be pivoting. You know, that's just the reality of it.
They've already kind of been pivoting with SteamOS. They're like, hey, somebody else do this.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. When that thing's up, Valve's going to come in and be like, hey, don't worry, guys. We're going to keep supporting you. Just flip over to SteamOS. And we're like, oh, okay. And everybody's on the bus.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm super happy to keep this guy, because I know that SteamOS will come, and when it's there, it's going on the go-to. And by the way, I just want to say this because I think we're very close to the end, and I don't know if you guys know this, Trevor and Nelly. It's official. It's going up in Canada. It's going to 1850. It's no longer 1500. Yep.
The Xbox Ally X is $13.99 right now.
Oh, slap. Dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can pick up some open box ones and stuff for cheaper if you're quick on like Best Buy, but $13.99 Canadian.
That's crazy. I've decided I'm not going to upgrade from the Z1 Extreme until we get an actual like generational improvement at this price range.
Yeah.
That's
I knew
that's why I added at this price range.
I was looking at mine.
No. If I'm going to spend that much on a computer, I'm going to build a desktop.
And you're going to slap some big controllers with elongated.
No, I'll stream it. Yeah, I'll stream at home.
Yeah.
Oh, good stuff.
I'm glad that you brought that up, Clef, because I almost forgot about that. Thank you. Clef talked about this previously. I mean, about the Go 2 being like, you know, the kind of final stand for like the Legion Go. So looking at this Go Fold, is this the Hail Mary that Clef was talking about? If this thing fails, if it doesn't hit the market or whatever, if we get one driver update a year or whatever, is this it? Is Lenovo going to pull the plug?
In this episode, we potentially pieced a lot of things together. Aish is probably onto something with that device having been originally for productivity. And maybe indeed they just thought, you know what, let's repurpose this to gaming. Let's make this our Hail Mary. The fact that they're shifting to Intel as well may be telling in itself, because if truly what we speculated, which is that they pay AMD for drivers update, which is why we don't have support on the Go devices, well, hopefully Intel, even though they may not push drivers as fast, they just will make sure that we have drivers when Intel are ready to make them if Intel don't charge them. That would also mean a higher price, which has been the case with the MSI clause. So there's a lot happening here. Would this be a Hail Mary? I still believe that the Go is on a second breath already, and it's nearing the end. Do I think the Go Fold would save it from imminent death? Definitely not.
Kill it
I think
faster.
it's still happening. Say what?
It'll kill it faster.
Ouch. Dang.
Stop! You're killing it.
Yeah. It'll flip it to death. It'll smack it. Flip it to death. It'll smack it.
What's your final thought on this, Trevor?
The Legion gone? Yeah, I don't think we're there. I really hope not anyway. Like with the prices of these handhelds, with the prices of everything going up, it's hard to not like I felt like okay, last episode I felt like I was so negative. This episode maybe a little bit too, but I want to have hope, I want to have hope that things are going to be realistically priced, that there's a future for these handhelds to continue to flourish because I love them. I love the form factor. But when you see all these things happening just back to back to back, this fold, I don't think this is the way. This is not the way. If the Go-To doesn't perform well, it doesn't perform how they expect, which I imagine it's probably not. If this flip doesn't perform well, like I can imagine maybe they would back out. I hope not, but because they do make good products. Like I really like my Legion Go, and the little time I've had the Legion Go 2, it's an amazing device. It's just not. What did you say it was going up to in Canada? You say
1850, I believe. Either 1850 or 1899.
That's wild.
Yeah, I just like
That's
I just can't. I can't do that. Like it's a great device, but is it $18.99 great?
No, just get an Apex.
I don't think it is.
But see, super
Yeah.
quick, that's the thing, and I hate to rub it in again for our American viewers here. For me, going from Xbox Ally X to a Legion Go 2 was a $200 difference.
Mhm.
With that in mind, dude, it was absolutely worth it. That was not the difference that Americans had to pay. You guys had to pay $350 US to go from an Xbox Ally X to a Legion Go 2. And I know 1850 Canadian is expensive, but right now the Legion Go 2 is listed 1850 US on B&H. So there's that too. Like if the Go 2 would have launched at price parity to what it is in Canada, I think it would have had a much greater success. Granted, if they could put units on the shelves, but yeah, I guess Lenovo probably wasn't able to do what Asus did, and maybe that's why they partnered with Microsoft. No tariffs, because we're an American company, just like Nvidia. Lenovo can't do that, so the tariffs were probably in that price, and that's why we don't have to pay as much as Americans do for the Legion Go 2. It's unfortunate, but it is.
Here's the thing: like top end performance, you're not really doing much better than your previous gen anyway. So it's not just a small. It's almost what's a Legion Go going for right now? Brand new, like $600-700. So it's about $1,000 difference to get better hardware, but your performance is pretty much the same.
What's your final statement, Nelly?
Buy an Apex.
There it is. And you probably heard it here first, and you'll definitely not hear it here last, though. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in for this live recording of the Speedcast. We're going to shift over to our Handhelds Unhinged segment now. So we will catch you all in the next one, or we will catch you on Discord.